tsunami in one part of the world. We are cleaning that up. We are facing a hurricane in another part of the world. The International Panel on Climate Change is warning us of a severe crisis in the world's ecology, and the International Monetary Fund is warning us of a severe crisis in global economy. I'm not even referring to the various wars and the problem of refugees. My point is that we don't have the time to discuss the nature of globalization, but I think we can say that the only thing that is certain about globalization is that it is uncertain. We do not know where we are going together. So the question I'd like to ask in the context of today's panel, in this context of globalization, what is the responsibility of religion, of religious communities like ours? I think one natural place to start, there are many ways to start, but one natural place for religious communities to start is by looking at the question of religious prejudice. It is a problem that religious communities suffer from, but also sometimes contribute to. And it is therefore a problem for which religious communities carry some measure of responsibility, but also have some capacity for change. The Baha'i teachings are very clear on this question. They begin with the oneness of God and the essential unity, the fundamental unity of all of the religions that we have in common. Baha'u'llah states in his writings that religious beliefs should never be allowed to foster the feelings of animosity amongst men. Within their own communities, Baha'is learn and try to develop the practice of living together using two tools, two processes. The first is education, and the second is dialogue, which we call consultation. I will begin with consultation. Consultative dialogue is central to the task of reconceptualizing human relationships, that is, the relationships between people, between men, between women, between people of different races, between different generations, between different civilizations and cultures, and between different religious groups. It requires a degree of truth-seeking that is beyond the pattern of negotiation, of compromise, that is beyond the culture of protest, debate, propaganda, partisanship, all of these things that we are very familiar with today. These are all harmful, essentially, to the task of seeking the truth, of understanding a situation, and of agreeing on solutions that we require. Individual participants in dialogue that is true dialogue need to try and rise above their respective points of view. They need to become a body of their own and to advance the interests of that body and its goals. I turn to education. It seems to me everyone agrees that education is a good thing. No one ever disagrees with that. The root cause of religious prejudice, I think we could also agree, is ignorance. We believe that participation in the generation, the application, the diffusion of knowledge is a responsibility that everyone shares. Everyone who wishes to build a more prosperous world. Each of us according to our talents and our capacities. So it is also this goal of education, one that we share together within our communities. And then as we come forward in efforts to meet each other. If everyone can agree that education is a good thing, and I'm talking here about moral and spiritual education, the pursuit of science, material education is a process, of course, that must continue. If everyone can agree that education is a good thing, then what are the good elements? What are the elements of a good educational system? As we think about these things, as parents, I'm a father, I'm sure many of you are parents in this room, what are the elements of an education system that we wish for our children? I would identify 5 elements. First, it must seek to raise moral standards and to promote an upright character and good conduct. Second, it must aim at the removal of prejudices of all kinds, race, gender, social class. Third, it must aim to empower children, especially the girl child, and youth, to take their rightful place in society, to assume both the rights that are theirs, but also the responsibilities that come with those rights. Fourth, it must promote a concept of patriotism that goes beyond a narrow nationalism, and that connects both the family on the one hand and the oneness of humanity on the other. And fifth, I would suggest to you that it must give root in the individual to both the spirit and the practice of service to one's family, of service to fellow citizens, service to community, service to society, to country, and ultimately to humanity. I think these elements are things that we can talk about, that we can discuss. Such a moral education system raises capacity, increases skill, and advances knowledge. And by definition, it must always be open and transparent, and be open for all to both see and to participate. Closed systems have gotten us into a lot of trouble. I would conclude that I come back to my original image. The only thing that is certain about our future, the future of globalization, is uncertainty. So if we don't know what lies ahead of us, how do we prepare? If we don't know what will happen, the only thing we can expect is that the pace of change will increase, how do we prepare for an uncertain journey, for a journey into the unknown? Let me carry my image forward. You pack very carefully when you don't know what's ahead. And so I would suggest that the best means for us is to pack two things into our bag together as we walk down an uncertain path. The ability to educate ourselves and educate others, and the ability to consult and to dialogue so as to arrive at the solutions we need to face that uncertain future. Thank you very much.